It is mating season here in the warm Pacific waters, and the whales have been extraordinarily active. In fact, we saw whales breaching off the shoreline in Bucerias 7 consecutive days. Now let's hope we get as lucky today.
Whale watching was not our first choice when it came to the water charter we had hoped to book in Sayulita. We had been on a few whale watching excursions in the past, and short of a brief glimpse of a whale once, we had been perennially shut out. And that is not even to mention the cost and the touristy cliche that whale watching has become. No, the charter of choice was a dive excursion. My last dive was February 2020 in the Galapagos Islands, where we found ourselves surrounded by sharks. As these inquisitive and intimidating creatures got closer and closer, I practically hyperventilated my tank of air and spent the bulk of the dive buddy breathing from the dive master's tank. This time, I was hoping for something a little tamer. We were, however, dissuaded from diving here by several experienced divers who indicated there was not much to see around these parts. Whale watching it was then. We chose La Orca de Sayulita for a couple of reasons. One, they are a research-first tour company with marine biologists guiding the excursions. 2, their tour groups are small, accepting a maximum of 8 people per tour. Launching a boat from the beach requires a little innovation and a lot of horsepower. These boats were pretty rudimentary and had no sonar or fish finders on them. We were in fact the whale finders, made responsible for watching for spouts of spray on the horizon. It wasn't long before we found our first whale. It was just a baby, desperately trying to get its tail up while hitting the surface of the water in an attempt to propel its body forward. No doubt having learned this from Mum, who assuredly was nearby, but had yet to make an appearance. In fact, it wasn't Mum to make the first appearance. It was surprisingly Dad. His scarred and gouged dorsal fin and sheer size left no doubt which member of the family this was. Not to be left out, Mum finally appeared alongside the baby. And, for a fleeting moment, you had all 3 members of this family swimming in harmony beside the boat. It was almost as if each of these whales took a turn waving goodbye with their tail. With the baby finally getting its timing just right. As the family of whales began to disappear on the horizon, we spotted another pod of whales. This time, it was suspected it was an aggressive pod of males fighting for female attention. For many reasons, the amount of males on breeding grounds is higher than the number of females, so male competition gets really intense. As we would get closer to this pod, they would submerge and resurface several hundred meters away. When we would get close, the same pattern happened. After 3 vain attempts to get close to the action, we finally resigned ourselves to the fact it wasn't going to happen. At this point, we had finally exhausted our 3-hour tour. So, how does one get back on the beach, you might be wondering? Again, with a little ingenuity, a lot of horsepower, and a ton of patience.
That was truly an amazing experience. What awe-inspiring, intelligent, and majestic creatures these whales really are. It was just unfortunate there was too much chop to launch my drone, and we couldn't seem to catch that male pod during their battle. When we got close, they would submerge and resurface 5 minutes later, somewhere about 400 meters away. We would follow to that spot, and that same pattern continued to happen over and over. I guess they, like us, want to fight in the privacy of their own home.